The Trumna. I'll tell you what, not a whole lot of things have changed for the build of the Trumna, but there is something fishy going on, and today, my friends, I have the absolute pleasure of revisiting this absolute powerhouse of a weapon. As always, my name is Leyzar, and I got a couple of builds lined up. I got something cheap, affordable, something for newer players coming into the game, something for a more casual tenno, but fear not, my friends, we're gonna be maxing this puppy out. Prime mods, galvanized mods, a riven ticket to steel path, essentially the works. That said though, please bear in mind that my builds and guides usually take a more new player friendly tone, simply because I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built, and the why behind it. So in case you're a vet and you already know most of this stuff, you can either skip ahead or have a bit of patience. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Trumna. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped, and for that, just a couple of our regular free shots. The Trumna is an introductory primary weapon with two fire modes. In primary fire mode, this one seems to be firing a projectile-based attack which detonates upon impact in a very small area explosion. Now that's just a visual effect. By all intents and purposes, in primary fire mode, this one is a full-blown hit scan attack, which is absolutely fantastic. The fire rate, super solid. The recoil, unfortunately, also super solid. Now, if you take a look at the recoil a bit more closely in our 15-meter test, it does kind of bounce a bit. You even got a counterbalancing action, but at full fire rate, this one stabilizes, so you shouldn't really have any issue getting your headshots on. Now, speaking of headshots, recently in Warframe, headshot multi has been removed from explosion. So you might believe that, hey, that means I'm going for body shots, feet shots, whatever shots. Wrong. You're still going for headshots because you got two damage components on the initial projectile. One, the projectile physically making contact with a target, and two, the explosion, and you will retain your headshot benefits for the projectile making contact with a target, which still does a pretty significant amount of damage. I'll go more into that later. But for the time being, if this sounds a bit confusing to you and you don't know exactly how critical chance, critical damage works in Warframe, the hidden multipliers, why we go for headshots and all whatnot, I got a full and detailed build guide for you in the cards right now, so I don't spend another 7 minutes explaining how things work. That's pretty much it for the primary fire mode. That's what you're going to be using most of the time. But I want you to look under my crosshairs. You see that little black bar with a little bit of white in there? That's your charge bar for your secondary fire mode. Secondary fire mode can only be accessed when that bar is fully charged, which is a bit of a pain, but it is quite spectacular. So you're going to have to kill a couple of targets to get charged. You see that? I killed one, I got charged. Killed another one, got charged. Just one more, and now I got full charge. You also got that ka-ching audio cue. Now, my friends, this is a bouncing grenade, so you definitely want to aim for the feet. Have a look. Absolutely bloody fantastic. The bad part with this one is the fact that now I gotta charge it again. You should be aware of the following interaction. If you're gonna be shooting your big bouncy grenade into Zephyr's tornadoes and the tornadoes kill targets, well, that's gonna get you charged, so you can keep on rolling into secondary fire mode. It's definitely an interesting and worthwhile interaction. Now back to the Trumna. If you take a look at underneath my crosses again, the color of the charge will also be directly linked to your energy color. So if you want it blue, red, black, whatever, it doesn't really matter, you can do so. One problem I have noticed from last year, this is either a bug or a shadow nerf, because I didn't manage to find it in the history, the changelog history over on the wiki. You can no longer get charged for the secondary fire mode from damage over time kills. Let me see if I can. Okay, this guy burning, dead, and no charge. That's a problem. And it's not just heat procs, it's vital procs together with slash procs, so when that target dies, no charge. Unfortunately, you're only getting charged nowadays from direct impact damage kills, like so. If the target dies under the effects of dots, so damage over time is effect, like again, vital slash or heat or electricity and all whatnot, you're not getting charged anymore, and I can 100% guarantee you it didn't used to be like this. And this is a pretty significant nerf for the Trumna, which is a tad on the weird side. But that's pretty much it for the functionality. Again, it's pretty fantastic. It has one major issue, which I forgot to point out, and it's not the recoil, which you can easily fix. The reload. Have a listen, because this one looks cool and sounds cool. That Big Ben clock thing, absolutely fantastic, but it lasts a whole 5 seconds. On the other hand, you do get a magazine of 200 and an ammo reserves of 400, so totaling 600. 200. But again, having a 5-second reload, we do know that's a bit annoying. We can fix that one to a certain degree as well. Let's have a closer look at stats. Mod capacity is going to be 60 out of 60. If your comes with only 30 out of 30, what you gotta do is go over here into actions and you plug in your Auto King Catalyst, which costs 20 plat to buy and plug in directly. But you can also grind it from Nightwave. For example, you can also get a blueprint from the daily sortie, and some events in Warframe also feature this Auto King Catalyst as a possible or guaranteed reward. Sometimes you already get it built, which is fantastic. When it comes to Forma, mine has 8 Forma. Now, don't be scared. It is true that these Entrati weapons come with 0 Forma, which is horrible. But for the weapon build I'm recommending you, you don't need 8. I think you can get away with 4, maybe 5. If you got Rivens, if you got the Prime ones, you're gonna have to go to something like 6 or 7. For the empty arcane slot, best in slot, with no question, used to be Primary Merciless, because this one gets you the on kill, not on headshot kill like Deadhead, and you also get the 30% reload speed, which is fantastic. As soon as you equip it, your reload goes down to 3.8 seconds, which is still super high, but a whole lot more manageable than 5 seconds. This one had a bit of a nerf, and you guys know exactly what I mean. It's still kinda best in slot if you're not going for a raw damage approach, in which case you would go with Primary Deadhead. Where was I? Oh yes. So accuracy is going to be 200, it's extremely accurate as long as you can aim and you can manage the recoil. Ammo maximum 400, ammo pickup 60. Fire rate is going to be 4.67 by default, which is absolutely fantastic. Magazine of 200, noise alarming. Reload on 5 seconds without any mods. And Riven Dispo 2 out of 5 because this is a very powerful weapon. And being a very powerful weapon, it's also a popular weapon. But 2 out of 5 means that Rivens are still worth it for the Trumna if you manage to get a half decent roll. We're going to talk more about Riven and Riven Stat Prio just a tad later. When it comes to the damage, it's important you understand what you're looking at. First off, this damage right here, this 82 that you see from impact and heat, this one is the projectile physically making contact with a target. And this heat down here, this 50, this is the explosion. So you see, actually, the projectile does more damage than the explosion for the primary fire rate, which again is why you go for headshots. Critical chance, fantastic, 24%. Critical multiplier above average at 2.2x. And the status chance is pretty decent considering the fire rate and the amount of damage instances you can put into your target per second at 30%. So by all intents and purposes, this is still a very, very powerful weapon. Internal bleeding versus Hunter munitions. Which is better, Lazar? I'll make it easy for you. Hunter munitions. You can run the math if you so desire, but we're not going to waste any more time. Now the semi, what you see here, is the secondary fire mode that you gotta charge up. Again, the same stats for the most part. Critical chance is higher, 38%, with a 2.4x critical multiplier. Status chance of 50%, believe it or not. Actually, this is low, considering the amount of damage instances you do. Impact 100%. This is the projectile, yes, impact 100, this is the projectile making physical contact with a target. It represents only about, 10% of the total 1100 damage that you can get out of the secondary fire mode. Keep in mind that this one bounces, okay? So your secondary fire does bounce, so you're going to be getting bounce, kill, bounce, kill. For example, you can shoot at a target's feet, it bounces off the wall behind them, then hits them again, which is absolutely insane. And yes, you can use it with mag if you so desire as well. The damage is 1000 for the explosion with a 40% damage drop off. Honestly, that is pretty insane. The 40% damage drop off is super low. Please don't nerf it. 1000 as a base, fantastic. Range of 6 meters by default. As for the primary fire mode, one thing that I did forget to point out because I forgot if it's 1.6 or 1.8, 1.6 meters range on the explosion, which again isn't all that much. And I do believe, my friends, that's pretty much it for stats. Let's have a look at a more casual or introductory level build. Damage acceleration, multi-shot split chamber, critical chance and critical damage through the use of critical delay as well as vital sense. Of course, Hunter munitions is here, the two 60-60 vital mods, Malignant Force and Rhyme rounds. Rhyme rounds from spy missions, Malignant Force from Corrupted War in the Void. If not, go to the PC trade chat or whatever trade chat you can access. For me, they're about 10 to 15 plata pop maximum. Honestly, they're pretty cheap mods to get. Vial acceleration is an option slot. You can plug into this one whatever you feel more comfortable with. I would recommend vial acceleration simply because it makes the weapon feel about 16.4 times better. Give it a spin, see if you like it. And the XL slot stabilizer to fix that nasty recoil. You do have other options. You can go for terminal velocity, but honestly, this one doesn't really help primary fire mode, just secondary fire mode, which you don't really need help with anyway. In case of ammo issues, as per the usual, vigilante of the supplies. And that's pretty much it. Cautious shot. Cautious shot right now, no. But in case we get the return of self-damage, and if you don't know, Digital Extremes is considering the return of self-damage, I got more information in the cards right now. Cautious shot might actually become best in slot if you don't use a Warframe to mitigate that damage. No additional buffs from Mirage or anything of the sort. I don't like making weapons seem more powerful than they are using outside buffs. Okay, so what we're gonna be doing is spawning level 120 corrupted heavy goons. Now enemies like this you're not gonna see for normal Tenno, right? These are above sortie free enemies. You will see higher level than this and something like Archon hunts, and I will showcase how the weapon does in Steel Path as well. But for now, normal level build. That's beautiful. But again, that problem, I'm not getting charged from the damage over time kills. You see that? So what I will do is what I do normally in missions. I don't stop my fire. I just keep on shooting until the target is dead. Because you know what? You got plenty of ammo as it is with that magazine of 200. Look at that. Beautiful. Absolutely chomping through targets like nobody's business. And keep in mind, right now, I'm not even using a single galvanized mod. But you notice the issue, yes? It's harder for me to get charged, which is important for us to find out. Maybe we can get the dev to respond if this is an intended nerf or just another bug. But thankfully, now I got full charge on my weapon. It's glowy glowy, I got the audio cue, and now I can blow up some level. Oh wow, level 1s. Crap, why the hell didn't I spawn 120s? Those were level 1s. Just a second, let's fix that. I killed the enemies and spawned the enemies. There we go. Now we got level 120s to test our big bada boom explosion. They were absolutely annihilated. And did you notice the bounce? Even though I shot for the feet here, the bounce went off and the rest of the projectiles went into the distance. So you can get even more damage than that, which is absolutely fantastic. From my humble point of view, for everyday normal missions, this is more than enough performance. It's basically gonna do whatever you want. Now let's say you got access to galvanized mods, prime mods, Rivens. Essentially, you're not exactly a new player. You should strive for something along these lines. We got galvanized chamber instead of the normal version. We also got a Riven for this one. You got critical chance, toxin, and damage minus damage to infested. Now the beauty about this one, it already has toxin, which means I can make the viral elemental combo for a single mod. We also got a Bane mod on here, and yes, I am fiercely against Bane mods, but the honest truth is that for maximum amount of damage, you should use a Bane mod, but I only really would use one if you're gonna be doing levels in the thousands. Yes, 5,000, 7,000, whatever thousands you want, which I normally don't do because I don't got that kind of time. Now, other options, if you don't like Bane mods, you can go for flat damage if you so desire, and we also should talk about Galvanized Aptitude is gonna work fine for the physical part of the damage. Remember what we were talking about earlier? The projectile making contact with a target. You will be getting that damage extra, but it's not gonna apply its damage bonus to any explosion. So the secondary part of the primary fire mode, this 429 right now, not getting a benefit from the damage on Galvanized Aptitude, and neither is the radial attack. In short, the radial attacks will not be getting the damage benefit. The status chance benefit, of course. So let's test out the weapon like so. On the same, honestly, like testing again level 20s with this weapon, it's a little bit too low, so we're gonna go to 165, and then we're gonna hit up Steel Path. Again, headshots as per the usual. This being a galvanized setup, we're gonna have to get a couple of kills to get it in full swing and all whatnot. But I guess you can see it already wrecks house a whole lot harder than before. When those procs kick in, I mean, let me just shoot a couple of times. 56,000 bleed there. 26 with 36. 32, 29 and something else which I didn't see. But you see the constant problem I have. If I stop firing and the target dies under the effects of procs, I'm not getting my charge. And I do want my goddamn charge because it does strike extremely hard. So do bear that one in mind. One more time, we're going to be spawning him in so I can show you the effect of the secondary fire mode. Again, trying to aim for the feet. Let's try something like so. Oh, beauty flare! Beauty flare, mama! So beautiful. And yes, those will stagger you if you're not careful. But of course, shooting standing still target is not exactly very sportsmanlike now, is it? So let's head on over to the Path of Steel. Welcome to the Void, my friends. Now we're going to be fighting the Corrupted, and as you can see, it's going to be no problem to clear them extremely quickly. We got Revenant together with the Panzerwolf, which means that you don't necessarily have to make Vital on the weapon anymore. What you can do is make something like Heat and Vital, if you so desire, which would be absolutely fantastic. Did I say Heat and Vital? Heat and Corrosive, which would be absolutely fantastic. As for normal Steel Path enemies, I mean... honestly, it's like shooting fish in a barrel because they're so easy for the Trumna. You can even take this one to Archon hunts, and I did test the secondary fire mode of the Trumna on the Archon to see if it would actually one-shot him or not. Weirdly enough, it did nothing. It did nothing to the Archon, the secondary fire mode, and that's because of these damage attenuation system, which, to be completely frank with you, sucks. The big one. But hey, what can you do? Here's a Corrupted Heavy Goon. I'm just gonna go for headshots. I'm gonna stop firing because I got my charge. Of course, I can use my secondary fire mode right now to blow a big target up, but these are not big targets. The Butchers get essentially one shot from one projectile. Here's a bigger target. I basically send it into orbit. So, that is that to bear in mind. My friends, the Trumna is capable of doing whatever content you want in Warframe. You can even mod it for Rad and go Eidolon hunting if you want to, but honestly, there are better weapons for that. The point is, there's really nothing that this weapon cannot do, and I do highly recommend it. Now, for the next section is my favorite section, the Warframe buffs section. And who better than Lady Mirage Prime and her outstanding buffs. Now, when it comes to heavily armored targets such as the Grenier, I would recommend you consider corrosive projection. It's not mandatory, it's not a must-have. If your build is a bit more kooky and you're using rejuvenation, physique, combat discipline, for example, if you're using it on Revenant because sometimes you need it to get your Arcane Avenger on, simply use the aura of your choosing. If the aura is that relevant to you, don't forget about Coaction Drift, which is absolutely fantastic, and you can put it in the Excel slot. Now, Arcanes, however, are a lot more impactful. Arcane Avenger, always a good idea. R5, well, okay, fine, almost always a good idea. Not 100%, like 99.2. On damage, 21% chance for 45% critical chance for 12 seconds. This is a bonus additive after. It will stack on top of what you already have. As for your second Arcane or your primary Arcane, I always believe this should be left up to your Warframe. Maybe you want your shields here, or you want your Energize, or whatever else kooky armor that you need for your build. Here's an idea, more fire rate, because why the hell not? And for more fire rate, we're going to be going with Arcane Acceleration R5. On critical hit, 30% chance for a massive 90% fire rate to primary weapons, excludes shotguns for 9 seconds, and the usual +1 Arcane Revive. I still read comments like some of you don't know what the Arcane Revive is. You know when you die and you press X on your keyboard to revive, that's the Arcane Revive, right? So you get more revives. So there is that to bear in mind. If you're going for Arcane Acceleration, this also can free up Vial Acceleration on your build. For example, you can go for more multi-shot or whatever the hell else you want. Some Tenno developed a allergy to bronze mods. Just because the mod is bronze doesn't make it a weak mod. Multi-shot is still the best thing you can have on everything. Again, almost everything when it comes to modding your range weapons. So do bear that one in mind. What else was there? Oh yeah. Companions, you have a couple of... Whoa, I got 2 of them. Look at that, I got 2 of them. Anyway... you have 2 options. You can either go for the Panzerwolf and get yourself your Vital proc. If you're getting the Vital proc from the Panzerwolf, you can go back into the weapon and mod something like Corrosive Heat. Yeah, stacking up those heat procs to amazing values. You can definitely go for something like that. But here's the thing, Vital procs from the Panzerwolf are not exactly the most reliable things in the world. So it's a bit of a risk. For more heavier endurance runs is definitely a good idea. And the other option is to go for more crit. To go for more crit, you get yourself a Sentinel, any Sentinel you want. Just make sure that, wow, this bug has been in the game for like at least 3 months now. You're still not fixing it. The arm thing. Anyway, on the Sentinel's weapon, make sure you have the 4 Vigilante mods. If you already have supplies on your weapon, you don't need to use it here. You're going to be getting yourself that 20% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons. Even if the little Sentinel dies and never comes back to life, you will still be retaining that buff. We're gonna be spawning the targets one more time. I'm gonna let them hit me so I can get my glorious, absolutely glorious buff. And Powerful Mirage and her free ability for an absolutely outstanding 840% Eclipse buff. You can get even higher than that, by the way. And one more time for the best animation and Warframe. Beautiful, however so lovely clones. I mean, this is not even using the grenade. Is there anything left before me? Can you hear that? I know you can hear that, and I wish you could feel it as well in actual gameplay. My friends, go for a build such as this. It's absolutely bloody insane. What more do I need to say? This is the Trumna. It's one of the most powerful primary weapons in the game. But it does, as you saw, have some issues. I don't know about the charge from dots, if that's a bug or not. Dear D, we could really use a fix or clarification on this one. If you no longer allow us to get charged from dots, we should at least know. And if it's a bug, could you at least fix? Pretty please, with sugar lumps on top, because here, right now, in this demonstration, it doesn't really matter all that much, but in actual gameplay, it does matter a whole lot, and it is a pretty significant nerf. One more time, one more bomb. Well, let's make big bomb with big clones. Big bomb, big clones, just how I likes it. As for the Trumna itself, my friends, it can't get a more powerful recommendation than this from me. It's an amazing weapon, one that can essentially do almost anything you want in Warframe in style, as you can see. And I do believe that's pretty much it. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe only if you enjoy the content. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Oh, you can also catch me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. And if you love the content and you want to help me keep making it, consider supporting us via Patreon. There will be a link in the card, upper right portion of the screen right now. But until next time, my friends, bye-bye. Who did I miss? I can still hear him. I can hear him. Aha! I think it died.